Good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I want to talk today about surviving EMP or grid down. And grid down can come obviously from reasons other than EMP. EMP simply being one of them. Could be cyber, could be physical attacks. But I want to talk about surviving it, how to prepare for it, how to survive it. First, I want to welcome a bunch of new people. We have had almost 600 new subscribers join in the last couple of days. I don't think we've ever had that many join in such a short amount of time. I think I know why, but I want to welcome all of the new people. It's great to have you here, and we hope that you enjoy it and learn something from the channel. We have a great group here. I have always loved, even though I'm a very small channel, I've always loved the interaction with my subscribers, with my viewers, and I hope that you'll be a part. You'll find that this group, we don't have people that take shots at each other. We don't talk badly about people. We approach preparedness from a positive standpoint and positive aspect. So welcome to you all. We also have, if you're interested, we also have a Patreon channel. The link's down below, where I put additional information, additional content. Okay. If you're wondering who, for the new people, who I am, to give you some perspective on this, why I'm going to talk about this today, I'm the author of the Stonemont series. The reason that I say that is because occasionally I will hear from somebody who says, well, I read those books years ago. I didn't know you were the guy who wrote them. Yeah, I am. Or well, I've seen you and I didn't know you wrote books. Well, yeah, I have. the first one, the reversion came out in 2017. And we have the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. There are 6 novels in serial form, talking about, I call them the complete guide to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything, in this case, a CME. And working on the 7th one right now, and expect that to be ready in a month or so. I'll tell you more about those a little bit later. The links on how to get them are down below, but I just wanted to let you all, the new people here, say, well, who is this guy? So that's who this guy is, and it's good to have you here. Okay, surviving EMP or grid down. A lot of channels make videos about this because it's a popular topic, and it should be, because it is really one of the existential threats that we face. You know, the Federal EMP Commission clear back in, what was it, 2001, something like that. I don't remember when it was. I read it, but I have it somewhere. Estimated a 90% die-off in the affected area within the first 12 months of an EMP. Now, essentially, when we say EMP, we're just talking about one aspect of grid down, because that's the problem with EMP, right? Grid down. And they say a 90% die-off within the first 12 months. I don't dispute that. There's no reason. I mean, I'm not sure how they came to those figures, but when you figure our reliance on electricity and electronics in today's world, I don't see any reason to dispute that. I mean, from starvation, from the violence that accompanies societal collapse, from bad water, from simple injury, from all sorts of things. You know, from the people who now rely on modern medicine just to keep them alive. Yeah, 90%. Let's just go with that. I have no argument with that. So it is, probably the grid coming down is probably the most existential threat outside of a global, killer comet or something like that we have to deal with. And it does behoove us to pay attention to that and put some thinking into it. And so I'm glad that other channels, cover this to one degree or another. Most of them, I'll put it that way, they don't have a good grasp on exactly what the ramifications would be. I mean, don't get me wrong, I compliment them for bringing the subject up. But they get off track a little bit, and in order to really prepare for it, I think you have to stay on the right track, right? There has been this idea that some will say sends it back to us back to the Stone Age. No, it doesn't. It'll send us back to a pre-electricity day. So we're talking about the 1840s, 50s, something like that. Okay. If you look at the quality of life during that time, it's not necessarily primitive among many people. Now, among some people, it was certainly. I mean, there were high mortality rates. Modern, medicine wasn't modern. They didn't have the convenience, but they knew how to live during that time. So it was a hard life for many. I mean, if you even bring times closer to us, what was it? What year was it by the time many areas of the Appalachians got electricity? Was it that? It was the mid 1900s. And so we're talking about people. I mean, I know people who have lived without electricity. You probably do too, or indoor plumbing and all that. Seems like a long time ago. It wasn't. And those people, they survived because they knew how to survive. Now, the quality of their life, that would bring it in, we can bring that into questions. Now, I've heard other people say, well, even though it would only take us back to the 1840s or 50s, something like that, it would be far worse because people now don't know how to survive. Well, I think that's a mistake too, because people are surprisingly resilient. They really are. And when I say, as I explain in my books, the books, they are about a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, is able to not just survive, but continue living a high quality life after the collapse of everything, and as a result of their preparedness, are able to help other people. And through that, then able to start rebuilding community and a society worth living in. And that's really what it's all about. It has to do with how you approach it, how you think about it, what your priorities are, and how you have prepared for it. You're going to live. At the end of all of my videos, I say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And you are going to live tomorrow exactly how you have prepared to live. If you've prepared well, you're going to have a chance of living pretty well. If you haven't prepared very well at all, you're not going to live very well at all. But the reason that I take issue with this idea that people it's going to be worse than the 1840s or 50s, because people don't know how to survive. Well, many don't, and I'll give you that. Many don't. But many do. And the crucial thing here is that although we will lose many people and we will lose electricity and electronics, we won't have lost the knowledge of it. So it's not like we have to reinvent everything from the beginning, right? These things have already been invented. Now it's a matter of trying to reclaim and put that knowledge, bring that knowledge back into practical application in the physical world. Now, that's going to be very difficult in some cases, and in many cases, manufacturing is going to have to be re-implemented. But manufacturing worked, it was big long before there was electronics, right? And in my, I think in my, I don't know, my fifth or sixth book, maybe even before that. Yeah, I think even before, maybe in the first couple of books, I talk about how Stonemont, which is the community, Stonemont, the community that we talk about in the books, they already start reestablishing electrical generation, and done the old way, back before electronics, right? And they start redeveloping other energy sources. I won't go into detail on that right now. That's not the purpose of this video. but it we will not have lost the knowledge. That's the important thing. Now we'll lose a lot of people who have that knowledge, but there's a lot of smart people in this world, and there's a lot of resilient people in this world. And how you make it through a catastrophic event is going to depend on your personal preparedness and your personal resilience and your personal determination to come out the side of it. When I teach active shooter training, or when I used to teach young police officers, or when I used to teach my fighters, when I trained MMA fighters, the person who comes out, the person who survives, or the person who wins is very often the one who is most determined to win or survive. And so it does come down to a personal determination. Now, how to survive EMP or a grid down is really just an approach with the basics. I talk about the principles, the concept of integrative preparedness is being able to survive, and not just survive, but hopefully live well, separate from dependence on all of the external and interrelated systems over which you have little or no control. Okay, you need to be able to provide for your own food. Now, first, that means stocking food for most people, but we realize that the only purpose of your stocked supplies, your stocked food, is to keep you alive until you're producing as much food as you need to eat, and for those of you who depend on you, to be able to provide for your own food, to be able to provide for your own water service, to be able to provide for your own power, be that electrical. And most people say, well, they have generators. That's good. That's a good short-term solution. If something went on longer, you would need to decide, how you want to work things. I always throw it back to when people say, well, it would be impossible to live well, back before electricity. I refer them to a couple of movies, and even though they're movies, movies can be great representations of the reality of the time. And I say, take it back to the movie The Patriot. Okay, take it back to the movies of the antebellum South. Gone with the Wind, or the Band of Angels, or the TV series, Kelly's favorite. Kelly's my wife, for those of you who are new to us. North and South. She loved that series, a great series. Or take it back to my favorite movie, McClintock, with John Wayne. These were there was no electricity back then. I think maybe in McClintock there might have been. It was approaching that time. I'm not sure, but there wasn't electricity in the others. And yet, if you look at the building, you see that it's much like the building of today. It's in some ways better, and in some ways not as good. But those people lived very well with different sources of light, different sources of heating, and this is what you want to be able to provide for yourself. Just imagine everything goes off right now. For a couple of days, most people are going to be expecting it to come back on, but then it doesn't. How do you provide for your own lighting and heating? Okay, after food and water and the love of the good Lord Himself, that's going to be one of your most important priorities: lighting and heating. There are ways to do that. Those are pretty basic, and so my purpose here is not to get into the basics. I've done a whole bunch of videos on the basics, and other people have too. There's plenty of videos out there and books and such that will tell you, about how to provide heating and how to provide light sources and things like that. Maybe I'll do another one occasionally. I just did a review on one of the camping stoves, actually. And what was it? The SkyMac. It was one of those little aluminum camping stoves. Worked out great. I made it several weeks ago, I think. And I said that, in the event that everything went down, if you had just a few of those, you essentially have 4 cooking surfaces, which you feed with twigs that you can find laying all over the place. It's a rocket stove. Well, it's not a rocket stove. Rocket stove has different mechanics to it, but I said it's much like the rocket stove display that I describe at Stonemont. So if you only had 4 of those, and they're cheap, they're $20 a piece, and you can feed them with sticks and leaves and stuff like that, you essentially have a 4-burner stove. So, a lot of people say, well, if the lights went off, I can cook on my grill, I can cook on this, and yeah, you can. And these are another option. So, that's just an indication that for every problem, you want a multitude of solutions. You want backups for backups for backups, redundancies, right? And your ability to put together these backups on backups on backups is going to be a great determinant of how well you're able to live in the future. Now, in addition to that, of course, you need the ability to defend yourself and everything that you need to defend. But my main point for this video is, can an EMP or a grid down be survived? The answer is a resounding yes. Now, it's not for a lot of people. And the reason that it's not for a lot of people is simply because they don't think they can. Or they're not willing to put the work in. They're not willing to put the work into preparing for it. And then if it all falls apart, they're also going to fall apart. Yes, the world is full of people who fall apart. Even though, like I say, it's full of resilient people, it's full of the opposite as well. And those are going to be the people who just aren't able to make it. Your ability to make it is going to depend entirely on whether you want to and think you can, or willing to put in the hard work to do it. And the hard work now is going to pay off in the future. So when you think about those different things that you now, those things that are vital to your survival and your living well, you're now getting from external sources. The extent to which you're able to replace those with your own, as your own resources, that's going to determine, your ability to survive and the quality of your survival. So think about that. Realize first, and my whole point of this, I think, was really, yes, a grid down, EMP, whatever, cyber attack can be not just survived, but you can live well afterwards. And it doesn't mean that it's the end of any. As a matter of fact, on my first book, on the back of the reversion back there, it says the death of one society can be the birth of another. Yeah, and, it might be a different, and that's if it becomes permanent. Now, it may or may not become permanent. Depending on, and the reason that we should think about this, if you look at what's happening between Russia and Ukraine and our involvement in that, and if you look at what's happening with Israel and Iran, they have been saying for the last week that Israel is going to be attacking Iran within the next 2 days. Well, who knows? Maybe not. Maybe not. But we know these things can flash, and when they do, they can flash like that. And all of a sudden, what was our normal life becomes anything but normal. And so it really is important to prepare for this. And it's simple, but it's not easy, and I want to distinguish that. Okay, it's not easy because it takes work and it takes preparation and it takes thinking. It takes an understanding and a proper planning. But it's simple in that the steps to provide for your own needs are simple. Just follow that, just take the next right step and you get there. We should all be concerned about what's going on in the world, because the rest of the world, as much as many people would like to ignore it, has an effect on us. And so we should keep up on it. We should know what's going on. But we shouldn't let that ruin our daily lives and make us want to run away and hide. Because, run away and hide, well, that may be for some people. It's certainly not for me. I want to continue to live a good quality life. I want my kids to be able to live a good quality life, have kids of their own who can live good quality lives, and continue building, whether we continue to build from where we are now, or whether we take a giant step back as a result of a grid down situation and the horrors that would come. The horrors would, occasionally people will come on and say, you don't have any idea about the horrors, the horrible things that would happen. And my response is, hey, I wrote 6 books about it. I do. And I spent most of my adult life dealing with the horrible things in life. So yes, I do. But just because it happens to the rest of the world doesn't mean it has to happen to you if you're prepared. That's what preparedness is about, isn't it? Okay. I should tell you, especially for those who are new to us, how to get the books. You can get them on Amazon. People tell me they're a great read. People have been learning from these since 2017 all around the world. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. My 7th will be out soon. I've designed the cover. I've decided on the name. The people on the Patreon channel know what it is because I put stuff up over there. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put the link down below in the description section. And they're available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or Audible. People were after me for years. When are you going to get them on Audible? Well, a few months ago, got them on Audible, so you can get them up on Audible, so you can listen to them. I know a lot of people bought the whole set. One guy has just bought his 12th complete set. You want to help your friends? Unbelievable. He buys whole sets and sends them to friends. What a great way to really promote your interest and help friends by saying, hey, preparedness is important. Let me give you some books that'll scare the what out of you and show you how to handle it. Well, I don't expect most of you all to buy 12 sets, but you can get them on. What my point was, I know a lot of people have bought the books and read them, and then also like the audibles. And so because I've had people read through these things 5 complete times. And I know this is a commercial, but I want you to know about my books because I think you'll enjoy them and they will be very helpful to you. And they say even after 4 times, they're still finding things in it that they didn't catch the first 4 times through. So that's how it's available on Amazon. You can also get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. And then I get to sign them for you. I don't get them to you as quickly as Amazon does because I keep running out and have to order more. And thank you all for ordering all those books to make me run out all the time. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to order larger bunches every time I order, and people keep buying them. Thanks. But I love signing them because I love my relationship with my readers just like I do with my viewers. And so there is that. Stonemont.us, our website. You can also get the mugs and the t-shirts and everything. Stonemont, where life is good. Let me take a sip for just a second. For you newer people, I do occasionally sip coffee because I usually make these videos during my second cup of coffee of the day before I get to writing and doing other things. So just keep that in mind, that as scary as the situation, and it is, of an EMP or grid down, it will be the most horrible thing that you ever go through. It's up to you how you make it through. And it can be, you can prepare for it. You can come out the other side living fairly well. There are people out there, and I hesitate to say this, there are people out there, and many of my friends, who say only an EMP or a CME would solve our problems. Well, I understand what they're saying. I realize also, though, there's a lot of things coming out the other end of a potential grid down that I haven't addressed. I'll probably do another one on that because it depends on who caused it and what their purpose is. and that could get fairly complicated. So I'll save that for another time. But for now, prepare for one. Prepare for one so that you can survive it. Because I think, even though the scientists tell us that a CME is assured, I think that a grid down situation, whether it's EMP or cyber or physical attacks, I think that's approaching the being assured point as well. With everything we have going on in the world, I really don't see how we can avoid it. But, we will see. So again, welcome to all the new people. It's great to have you here. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you learn something from it. Comment on the videos if you would like. Join us on Patreon if you would like. That link is down below. And as I always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So get out there and do something today, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.